So LinkedIn. How many people have a LinkedIn account? Good. Everybody has it. How many feel that their LinkedIn account is effectively being effectively used as of right now? Okay. And it's okay. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to go through some things, and I just want some honest answers so we can really see where everybody's at, because there's a lot of misconception about what's a good LinkedIn profile. Man, this is great. Or is it not a good LinkedIn profile? Or is it, the base is there, but how do I elevate it to a spot where I need to be, right? And that's why I do this. I've been working with LinkedIn since about 2011 or so, and they have changes nonstop. The mobile app changes as fast as your desktop, and sometimes things don't change at the same time. The interface is different, so it's constantly evolving like everything else. It's trying to keep up, and right now LinkedIn's the #1 spot. Any recruiter will tell you that they use LinkedIn to find all candidates. About 99%. They will look at LinkedIn first. So if you're not on LinkedIn, then they'll go to the job boards, right? Then they'll go to your Indeeds, your Monsters, your Career Builders, your Dice, your, what have you. But #1 search, the first place somebody goes, almost any single recruiter is going to be. In this area, it's LinkedIn and Indeed. Career Builder, a little bit, but the LinkedIn has to have it. So there's a lot of things that we're going to be able to go over and look at for that. All right, so let's go. No. All right, so we're going to go over each profile section. We're going to go over each and every one. So quick show of hands. We're going to show how we can measure our LinkedIn. So I want you to start thinking about the numbers, if you can have in your head kind of how many people are viewing your profile, how many views you're doing, all those sorts of things, because those are going to come into play a little bit later in the presentation. So let's go over the basics, right? These things are often overlooked, but are imperative to have within your profile. And if they're not done correctly, you're going to hurt yourself. You're not going to make it, it's just going to hurt. Bottom line, it's going to hurt you. So the very first thing is profile picture. Keep it simple, nice, clean headshot. Just yourself. I don't want a, hanging on with a buddy and you're cropped out. Love your dogs, but not for LinkedIn. These all seem really simple, but I see it all the time. Jessica sees it all the time with all, we see these candidates, or it's, I'm taking a picture and somebody's standing over there in the dark and they take a picture from here. I want a nice clean headshot. All it has to be is from the shoulders up with a nice background in the back. That's it. I mean, it could be a whiteboard, for God's sakes. It doesn't have to be anything special. It can be just an iPhone. I mean, it could be your just something really simple. Nice, smiling. If you don't want to smile, don't. But it does help. I'm telling you, it helps. It's a nice smiling picture from shoulders up, and that's it. Okay. Doesn't have to be suit and tie. Collared shirt would be great. Really industry-wide. I wouldn't go with a t-shirt, but that's just me. Even a nice collared shirt is great. All right, nice clean title. Put either your job title or the things that you do. Okay. So there's debate on the job title if you're currently unemployed or if you're currently looking for work, putting down job seeker or looking for a job or looking for those things. There's debate on whether you should have that on there or not as your headline. I typically tell people don't, but there is a case to put it on there. So it's kind of a preference thing. You do definitely want to put on there what you're doing. If you're a software developer, you want to put down there if you've got a specialty right now. If you're a Scrum Master, or if you're a project manager, or if you are a Java developer. Just don't say, the other thing is if you're a developer, don't just put down developer or programmer or what have you. Put down what language that is your strong suit so that people see that. I would much rather have someone on there, and that's where it goes into the job seeker. I much rather in the title tell me as a recruiter, hey, because I can see as a recruiter on LinkedIn, if I'm looking for, I can tell whether you're employed or whether you're looking. And bottom line, I don't care if you're looking or not. If you're somebody with skills, then I see your skills. I'm going to call you. I'm going to reach out. A recruiter that isn't reaching out to anyone that has the skills that I'm looking for, because somebody might want to switch. You might have something that they're not getting. So I don't care if it's a job seeker. That's just, again, it's preference. Other people tell you absolutely have job seeker on there because let people know, well, they're probably not in the recruiting world. A lot of recruiters will say, hey, we're going to look at you anyways. It's about your profile being set up correctly. All right. So location, where do you want to be noticed? All right. So how many people live here in Vancouver, Southwest Washington? There you go. Okay. So how many people have Vancouver as their location? Switch it to Portland. Okay. And the reason for that is not because I'm telling you you have to work in Portland. I'm saying because when there's people that do searches, how many people want to work remote? Anyone want to work remote?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. So when other companies from around the country, and we all deal with this, if you're talking with anyone outside of this region, this area, and you say Vancouver, what's the automatic assumption? BC. Every time. If you say that, is a recruiter from Austin, Texas, who has a ton of positions, are they going to search up Vancouver, Washington, or are they going to look up Portland, Oregon? They're going to look up Portland, Oregon, aren't they? They're going to do a radius, but you're not going to key in first their searches if you don't have Portland. Now, recruiters here, what we'll do is we'll set up our search to typically within 15 miles of the search parameter. So we will key in, and you'll still get noticed by everybody here, so the people in here. But you don't want to limit yourself by having Vancouver versus Portland. Doesn't mean that you live there, doesn't mean anything. We're a suburb of Portland. So you want to make sure that you have Portland on your site.
Yeah, what if you don't want to work remote?
Then that's still fine.
Okay.
You still want to have Portland there because there's companies, there's recruiting agencies, or there's recruiters that are all over the country that are going to key in Portland. They may have spots here that you might have a recruiting. Like Jessica lives here, works here, but she recruits for positions in Florida all the time. Recruits for positions in Charlotte, recruits for positions throughout the country. So she's going to go to the major metropolitans, not suburbs, because we don't know those areas as well. Right here, we're going to know. So again, that doesn't mean that you don't want to, that you just have to work in Portland or you don't want to work remote, but it's all about visibility. Anything with LinkedIn is all about being noticed, being found. If you're not being found, you're not finding yourself.
So just like you shouldn't put Beaverton or Hillsborough or something like that.
Those ones are a little bit, Beaverton would probably be okay, just because people know that Nike and Hillsborough and Nike, Intel, some of the big ones are out there, so people across the country know of those places, but Vancouver, no one cares about us. And so we want to be noticed, right? All right, Jessica. All right, so just going over a few of these things. Again, this is all being recorded, and so all this presentation with nice clean slides will be up there as well. So you can go back over all of this stuff later. Real simple, name, I don't even put down on my job title, I just put down a lot of things that I do, veteran, mentor, motivational speaker, and then also have everything that's nice and clean. This is an old screenshot of mine. Now I have my company that backs behind because they require it. So real simple. Another big debate since LinkedIn added this, do I need a picture back here? The answer is no, not really, but I wanted to have it. I like putting things on there just to show that it's current. If somebody has the old one, the blue one, and it's got the lines, it's okay, but it's cleaner. It's sometimes about that visual appearance too. Is, hey, how much are they doing? Are they actively trying to make it look nice? Are they trying to do things? That does matter. So before working for Skillstorm, I had just a nice nature shot, nothing crazy, just something really, really simple. Again, simple because that's not the main focus, but I want somebody to say, oh yeah, they're keeping up with the trends. Okay. All right, Jessica. All right, the about section. All right, clean photograph that will tell a story about what you want to do, or paragraph, not photograph. That we're going to get into very, very deeply in the about section. And that right there is going to be kind of the tricks of the trade. And people, every single presentation are like, really, you can do that? That's not cheating? So we're going to enter that. You got to think about what, again, and you're going to hear me say it over and over, it's all about getting noticed. It's all about being found. Otherwise, LinkedIn's useless. If you're not being found, it is useless to have a LinkedIn. So we'll go over that. Add any video or multimedia that you want to share. So right there, I always post this video. I've got, I'll post this one. Right now I've got my, the older version of this presentation. It's up there right now, so people can click in and say what it is. So you can click in any videos, any presentations, anything that you'd like to share that an employer would like to see, and something that you've done that you're proud of, you can post in that section and people can actually click on it and go in. And again, with any of these, add me on here, and you can go back through my profile at any time and click on if you're like, oh, what was he talking about on his profile? Hey, feel free. Look at my profile and come in and take a look at it. All right, so here's where it goes in. If you only take one thing away from this presentation today, I want you to take this away, all right? Keywords. You've heard about them thousands of times, but in LinkedIn, this is the algorithm that you want to crack. This is the one that you want to absolutely have each and every time. So, add keywords to this section, use the website, Odin to help you with this. All right, so here we go. Really simple bio, putting it in there. You want a nice clean paragraph about kind of what you are, because this is your intro. They're going to click into that and say, who is this person, right? And you want it to fill up a good portion. Pretty simple. Doesn't have to be really, really, really fancy. Now, here's the keywords. This is what I want you to pay attention to. It's this section right here. So you're going to scroll down, or you're going to enter, whatever, so then this isn't shown when it pops up on your profile picture. Okay? So you're going to pop this up. And how many software developers in here? How many different names are there for software developer?
Lots.
Okay? How many languages are out there? How many languages that are out there do you know? How many are you proficient in? Can you fit all that in a resume about all these different languages that you know? How much experience do you have with all those? If I'm a recruiter and say I'm a new recruiter and I'm looking for the hot one right now, which is Java, right? Everyone that we talk to, oh, if you have Java developers, send them our way. Great. What else do they know? So we need other things, right? So this is where you're going to put all these things. So for instance, for myself, keywords: talent acquisition recruiter, sales recruiter, technical recruiter, business developer, human resource specialist, human resource management. You're getting the thing. So I'm using I could be any one of these things. But I don't know what a recruiter is going to type into their search. The way that a recruiter finds you is called through a Boolean search. Has anyone heard of SEO, search engine optimization? Okay. So marketing folks, what they do is they key in on search engine optimization. So when you type in a phrase or whatever in Google or Bing or whatever your search site is, that spans out, and all of a sudden, now these marketers key in on those, and they're going to show that product, show those things, and that's what you want to be noticed for. And it'd be at the top of the list, right? So it's the same thing with recruiters. Instead of using SEO as what they call in marketing, we use what's called a Boolean search. So I'm going to put in a job title, maybe a language, and then maybe a location, or maybe I'm going to type in 2 different languages. Maybe I'm going to put in 2 or 3 different skill sets in a row and make what's called a Boolean string. That Boolean string, I'm going to key that into our side of LinkedIn, which is LinkedIn Recruiter, and it's going to pop up candidates that have those keywords within their profile.
How do you Boolean?
Boolean?
How do you spell that?
Boolean?
Boolean.
Boolean. B-O.
Oh, Boolean.
Boolean. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a Boolean.
Yeah. So we want to make sure that all the words that they're looking for, if you've got them, are within your profile, and a few different times, because you want to be popping up to the top of the list for the recruiters, right? So there's some tricks on how to do that. Where do I find, a lot of people, how do I know, I'm going to start thinking about it, this and that. And this isn't cheating by any means. That's the thing. It's like, people's like, well, does that look bad? No. You're putting in keywords. Like, you don't necessarily have to put keywords. I do, because it's never stopped any recruiter from reaching out to me, any hiring manager, any business that's looking to hire me. They've never said, oh, man, why'd you have keywords? No, they don't care. They just found me. That's what they're supposed to do. So a lot of people don't do this. This right here is going to increase your views, which we're going to get into in a little bit. Is twofold. This is the big tip, right? This is the big one. All right, Jessica. All right, so ONET. ONET is one of the greatest websites out there to help you assist with a multitude of things within LinkedIn, your resume, everything. I go back to this constantly, and when I'm doing coaching sessions, I key my clients straight into ONET to really get ideas. What ONET is essentially a government website that they get all the majority of their information through studies, surveys, the census, those sorts of things, for job seekers, from businesses, from employment. And what they look at is what's hot, what's not, things like that. So when I did this presentation, I think I was giving the presentation to SQL group, and so this is what the search did. But essentially, you go to this ONET website, and just *net will pop it up in Google. And what this is going to help do is, if you put in software developer, what it's going to do is put down all the different keywords for software developer, because you might not even know someone. Man, that's a new one. I didn't see that one before. Then you click into one, and you're like, then scroll down, and it's going to have the section of like similar jobs or similar titles, and you're like, I didn't think that was there. And so you can start, man, so it will really open your mind of how many different things you actually should be calling yourself, and that recruiters are actually looking for. All right. So with that, you're going to go up here to the search bar and type in, whatever it is that you want to do, just something generic so that you can have it in there and get some more things. So for this, it was just SQL developer, and all these different things popped up. So there's just there's 20 occupations that matched in some way or other. So then you're going to click into each one of these, and this takes time. I tell everybody, after you get done with, oh my gosh, there's so much to do. Take one section at a time when you're doing your LinkedIn profile. If you have a ton of time and you want to just hammer it out on one day, that's possible. But this is something, once you get it to where it should be, then it just maintenance. Then you're going to be doing LinkedIn, once a month, or if you've had a big job change or whatever, you're just going to come in and kind of keep it updated. Once you get it updated, you're going to, be good to go. So we're going to move on to the next one. All right. So your dashboard, it's going over a section where it's basically giving you numbers. A lot of people that I work with and give this presentation to, they always ask, how do I know it's working? What's working? Maybe I'm not getting the calls, but you're being noticed. It's all about being noticed. Again, keep hearing me. It's all about being found, being noticed. So this is where your numbers are going to be starting to pop up, right? So more views of your profile will get you noticed. Recruiters and hiring managers plug in your keywords in the searches to find people like you. Your dashboard will let you see the numbers that from changes you have made within your profile. Profile views, how many clicked into your actual profile. Post views, how many people have viewed most recent posts on LinkedIn. And search appearances, how many times your profile appeared in the search from someone. So some people will have LinkedIn Premium. You get more of this information. And those that don't have LinkedIn Premium might not get as much. You won't be able to view as much. How many people, let me just first ask that, how many people here have LinkedIn Premium? Okay, a few people. How many people here have used their free 30-day LinkedIn Premium? Okay, so essentially the people that don't have LinkedIn Premium, none of you guys have used your 30 days, so that's a good thing. And then with those that have LinkedIn Premium, we're going to be able to look in and see these things. People always ask, is LinkedIn Premium worth it? If you've used it correctly and set your profile up the right way, once you do that, once you get 500 connections, up to 750 connections, you should turn it off. If you've done your homework and you've set your profile up right, then you shouldn't need it, and you shouldn't have to spend $30-40 a month or whatever it is now. But then to get started, sometimes it is important to have it for the first 30 to 60 days as you're getting this rolling. But that first 30 days, if you do it correctly, that first 30-day trial that you have, that you can, if you do it right, again, if you do it right, that should be enough to get it moving. So you can really utilize LinkedIn. So we're going to go over and see what these numbers mean and what I'm talking about when it comes to numbers, and you can be able to see it. Okay.
So you're saying you want like 500 to 700 connections, and then once you've got that, you don't need the premium anymore.
Yep, absolutely. And so, but it's the connections that you're getting, right? So it's valuable connections that are actually going to make a difference in your profile and your search. So we'll go over what that looks like. So for this dashboard, this was mine from a while back, but it gives you some ideas of everything. So what we're looking at are all numbers. What I want to see is this number. This is super important. Post views, we'll get into that, and then search appearances. So the two that you should really worry about are who you viewed your profile and your search appearances. Those are the numbers that are going to tell you whether your LinkedIn is being effective or not. Okay? So how many people, just to get some numbers, how many people know how many views they get per week? Anyone know how many views they're getting per week? How many?
LinkedIn will send you like these people or this number of searches, or you appear in these several searches or something.
How many views are you getting per week on your LinkedIn profile?
Not much.
What's
but
not
it's
much?
like 10, 11,
Okay.
or sometimes 15, whatever,
Sure.
depending on.
Anyone else know how many numbers they're getting per week?
Similar amount. I look at it every week or so.
Sure, sure. So you should be getting, at minimum, between 70 and 100 if you're setting it up correctly. And that's minimum. There's folks that I've worked with that are now, after a few months of setting this up, they're getting 100 plus, 150 plus, 200 plus. And that's without having the job search bar on. That's without having the opportunity open, right? So on there you can click in and say opportunity, like open opportunities. Some of these people are getting those numbers without having that on, because of the way that they've set up their numbers.
Is that search appearances or is that profile views?
You want, so per week, so this is who's viewed your profile. I believe this is, and LinkedIn keeps changing it, so it was every, I think, 90 days they would do this, so take that away, but it'll show, you want to be searched, so this is per week.
Okay.
Yep, search appearances.
So that's 70 to 100 numbers.
You should be at minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where if you want to be found on LinkedIn and utilize certain recruiter that, and it doesn't mean that it guarantees you a job. It means that enough people are looking at it that it's going to generate something, that you've done something right, where now recruiters are actually finding out where you are. Okay. So there's ways that we can do that, and things that we're going to do to do this. But a lot of this is keywords. It's people being able to find you. Again, being noticed. I'm going to just keep saying that over and over and over. You want to be noticed. Okay? So with this, if you set these up and you have your keywords, you're going to see those start to increase. Those keywords just throughout your profile, throughout the jobs, throughout the keywords, all those things. What that's going to do is start saying, so typically it takes a couple months, right? Because you're going to do it and then people are going to start searching, and it takes a few times, depending on what your specialty is. Now, for some people, say a SQL developer, if you're a Java developer and you haven't set this up, and right now, Java developers typically don't need to say much. They say Java, and all of a sudden, every recruiter in the entire country is calling. That's how that language works right now. So you're going to start seeing it go up depending on what your job is. SQL developers, fairly quickly, because it's a pretty universal language that are people going into. So you want to see that. You'll start seeing those numbers increase. Also, depending on how many connections you have. Those connections are huge because you're going to have first, second, and third tier connections. And I'm going to tell you the trick on how to increase your second tier and the people that you should be connected with. And a lot of people say, oh, if I don't know them, biggest misconception on LinkedIn, if I don't know them, I'm not going to add them. Doing it wrong if you're doing it that way. LinkedIn's all about networking. Doesn't mean you have to. I have, I think, 3,500 connections and 3,800 followers. There's a handful of those folks that I actually know. A handful. I try to, if they're local and they're somebody I should know, I almost always try to go out and have a cup of coffee with them. But nationwide, I don't know, 3,500 people. Another 300 that follow me, I'm like, okay. But what I would like to know is all those second connections that I'm connected with, because I'm connected with those 3,500 people. that's where it keys in. Now in the searches, you're getting those first and second. If somebody goes in and a recruiter looks up for somebody that does motivational speaking, and you can start seeing what the keywords were that were searched to find your profile. LinkedIn will show you that in the premium. I don't know if it does it for not premium. Then you'll see what keywords that you have that are being hit. All right, I'm getting hit for these. My other ones should be getting hit. I want those to be in there. So now I'm going to spend some more time on figuring out where to go. So you can play with it, and once you get it figured out, then it should just be hit. For this, I have this career anxious off on this until 138. It varies. If I have it on, I get over 250 hits per week. So it does work. It's also different when you're in our line of work because people are looking for recruiters and looking for companies, so it's a little different. But 70 to 100 is where you should be. Anything over 100 is you're going away. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on the second connection?
Sure.
Like what advantage is that? Is that when you search, if you have more second connections, then you'll get a better result?
Yep.
Or?
And the reason for that is because you're now searchable. So if you're connected with me, right? So handful of you guys are connected with me on LinkedIn, and now you're second connecting with my 3,500 first connections. You are now part of my network. So the I don't know. I would love to see how many recruiters I have on there. I think 700. So anytime that they post and I see that post or I comment on a post, you're going to see that job, that whatever from those recruiters, other than myself.
So question, I'm careful in terms of like when people ask to connect that I do look at their profile.
Sure.
I'm careful because I have experienced fraud.
Sure.
Okay, so I don't know if you're going to talk to that, and I don't know. I've heard more women are target to that, and I don't know if you would talk to that or everyone has experienced that.
Yeah, it's definitely out there. I think it's pretty rare. I think it's pretty on the LinkedIn side because you have control over what content you're putting out. If they want it, from the research that LinkedIn's put out there is if they want it, they're going to get it, right? So LinkedIn's done a good job, but LinkedIn doesn't ask you for your social security number. They don't ask you. I don't post my phone number on there. I don't post anything in there that can go back to me. But if somebody wants to dig in that much, they're going to be able to dig in through any site that you're on. And so be careful. I mean, there's some people that I reject on there if it's a business, somebody trying to sell me something from some other country, or I can tell that it's like something off, I won't accept those. But if they've got legitimate job titles, or it's a recruiter, or those types of folks, or business, and I know that they can be of value, I'll absolutely put them on. And then there's some people that I'll put on just because I see how many connections they have. I'm like, all right, this person has like 8,000 connections. So it's like, all right, they're going to use me for my 3,500, which is probably why they're contacting me. I want their second connection, so I'm going to add them, and now I'm connected to even more people. And it's all about the connections, because now I can be found, or I can find, it goes both ways, now I can find these people that are now second connections of mine. So it makes my job easier.
But they don't list that, like, it gets to 500, they just say 500 plus,
Mhm.
right? So that you don't see.
The trick is finding the followers. So if you can see how many followers, because typically their followers are pretty close to the connections that they've got. So in my profile, it'll say 3,800 followers.
Followers
Mhm.
versus connection.
Mm-hmm. So people can follow you and not be connected with you. So there's an option, once you get to a certain amount, there's settings within LinkedIn where you can click on it and say follow. Or you can, if it doesn't give you a chance to connect. You'll see it with any of the big public speakers or nationally known, globally known type people, because they don't want a connection request from just anybody, right? So they're going to put down. You can follow their content, but you're not directly connected. So you can put that. You can put that in there, and so you can see that. All right. So a little bit onto this, and just to let you guys know, this is a crash course. I've taught this class and class with this lecture, and it's taken me 2 days to really deep dive into every little thing. So there's a lot of content that goes into LinkedIn. A lot more than I can do in a little over an hour presentation. This is just one aspect. And again, all the things that I say, some other person can come up here and contradict and say, no, actually it's this. Use the information that's going to benefit you. I'm the first one to tell you, there's a million opinions out there. There's a million ways to do different things. Do what works for you, right? Take the content that I'm going to give you and use what you find valuable. Is there one right way? Absolutely not. I'm not going to stand up here and tell you, my way's the best. It works for me and it's worked for the clients I've worked with. I can tell you that. So who viewed your profile? It gives you little bars. A lot of my stats guys really like this stuff because it's showing numbers and increases and trends. So this will dip up and down. But they correlate. This correlates with this, what I post. There's a big correlation. All right. So not only do you have to do all these things with keywords and profile and all these sections, but you also have to be active. You can't just sit there. You have to be active within your profile. You have to go in and do things that are engaging so people notice you, right? Now, I mean, you could just build your profile and hope for the best and hope everybody comes in and finds you, but you need to be active. And why wouldn't you? If you're expert matter in what you're doing, why not show that you're an expert matter in what you know? So you want to be able to show, hey, I'm an expert. I know this material. Or I'm engaging and I can do this, so you can be noticed, so other people will find you and see these sorts of things. So this was, again, a while back. This was a post that I did, and it trended fairly high, and I ended up getting a lot of hits, a lot of views, a lot of things like that. It was a lot of, there was a lot of activity, so that's probably close to where the spike was, because that got shared multiple times. So my content was shared nationwide. And it started to, what's that word?
Viral.
Yeah, that one. I see, I'm really not a cool kid yet. I don't know all the language. Yeah, it was, I don't even know how many views or whatever you need to have or to consider it viral, but it hit, at one point it was at 17,000 views of that. So for me, I was like, I'm just the, guy from Vancouver, Washington, And so it was pretty cool for me to have that go up. I've had a few that I've done between 8,000 and 12,000 views, and so. But what that's doing is getting people involved. That's showing people, hey, I know these things. Hey, this is my original content. I'm an expert in what I do. It's not regurgitated stuff that anyone else has done. It's stuff that I have produced. Few ways you can get those noticed, because again, it's all about being what? Notice, okay? So I did this thing, made this post, and I was like, all right, so now to be noticed and have this start trending and have some people look at it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tag some people that I know either will find it relevant or have enough clout where if they comment or like or share, it's going to get a ton of visibility, which means visibility for me. So some of the people that I put in here, Kyle Elliott, if you have LinkedIn, you've probably seen some of this content that he has. If not, you should add it. He's a career coach nationwide. He's in the Forbes. He's on the Forbes, some big board that they've got. Very active, really smart guy. Does a ton of stuff. So I've had personal conversations with him. So I added him. Natalie Oliviero. She is a recruiter and a big veteran advocate on the East Coast, over in the Virginia, Washington, D.C. area. I've had conversations with her. So all these people that I've added, then I have some recruiters from here. I've got just a few different people from different areas, right? Because I want them to see it, to get noticed. They'll share it, and then those people will share it, and so on and so forth, and then it grows and grows and grows. So now, nationwide, people are sitting there saying, oh, who's this Max guy? Then they're going to start looking at my profile. Even though I'm not looking for a job, I was then. And so I was doing things that were going to get me noticed. I hadn't completely signed my contract yet with where I'm at now. And so it was in the works, but I was still, you never know. You get a contract and you just never know what you're going to actually, how it's going to work out. So I was still trending up and trying to get that. And I still do try to get these posts just because I want to be the industry expert. So the cool thing is this last section is the what do your searches do, and so you can see who is actually looking at it. Do you want recruiters? Do you want salespeople? Who do you want looking? Who's being found? And all this does is tells you what you need to work on within your profile, right? So do you need to make it more heavy on some keywords in certain areas so that the right people, recruiters, hiring managers, maybe companies, because it'll show different people from different companies. So maybe it is a salesperson, but that salesperson maybe quasi does some recruiting or HR or whatever. So what companies are finding you? Who are you being noticed by? That's what that information is going to tell you. And it's going to tell you, again, where do I need to work? What do I need to do? Just. All right, so moving on to the next area. So where you've got articles and activity, these are important to show that you're an expert. And again, you want an employer to look at what you're doing, a hiring manager say, oh man, they're active, they actually know these things. It makes a big difference. If I'm looking at, when I'm recruiting, if I'm looking at candidate A that has the profile that's very similar to candidate B, but candidate B has articles and content and showing and like speaking the language of what it is that I'm looking for, I'm probably going to call them first. Why? Because they're showing me they actually can do it. They're putting pen to paper and telling me. And as a recruiter, am I a programmer? As a business developer in the tech space, do I know all the languages and all the different things that I'm trying to go out? No, I know very surface level about a lot of different things. I know keywords. I can match your resume with a profile and a job description really, really well. That's what I've been doing. But I don't know the ins and outs of it. So you could sit there and write this whole thing about different technologies that you work on, and now all of a sudden, oh man, this person must really know what they're talking about. Who am I to say that they don't know what they're talking about? And that's just being honest. Again, this is honest truth from somebody that's been in the field. Most recruiters don't have any clue what it is that you do in the tech world. We don't. We just don't. We're not trained on that, but you do. So show us. And then we can sit there, and it's always going to pop up within those articles that you write. It's going to pop up as some keywords in there. As many times as you can blast these keywords within the overall profile, LinkedIn's algorithm is going to pop you up on the first of the list so that Jessica, myself, and other recruiters can go find you when we do our searches. Okay? Seeing a trend here, right? All right, so for articles, you want to have a few. You don't have to do a ton with them. They don't have to be super long. A page, 2 pages. Doesn't have to be. Now, if you want to write an extensive type thing, by all means, please do. Show it in there. You want to have a couple of them in there. And then post, active engagement, get your profile noticed. All right? So what does active mean? How many posts should we do a week, per month, per year, those sorts of things? If you're active job searching, you should be posting at least a minimum of 1 per week, upwards to 2 posts per week. And doing it the right way, right? Find out, do your research, find out what's trending in your field or about anything. What's trending? What's looking good? What's hot? Put your voice and your opinion on it. Back it up, right? Don't be neutral on something. So if you really know about this technology that's going on, like show, hey, I know this and I've done a little extra research. Create a comment. Leave an open-ended question. Hey, tell me what your thoughts are. Blah 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 blah. Right? Have something so people are wanting to engage. Oh yeah, I saw that too. Post an article with it so people know that you're relevant, that you're looking at all this stuff that's going on right now. Maybe it's some old stuff. Maybe you do a comparison. Hey, this is the old thing that's going on. Here's the new stuff. Hey, I read this. I noticed this and that. Has anybody seen this? See, now you're creating engagement. And everybody that sees that, comments on that, everyone within their networks are now seeing what they commented on. That's how that grows. So now, oh man, so-and-so did this, and then all of a sudden it'll ping someone and say, oh, so-and-so commented on this post. Oh, that post looks interesting. Now they're going to click into it. Now their feed, because they clicked into it and they liked it or shared it or commented, now all their, so you see how this starts just manifesting out. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what you want. You heard me talk about the people that I tag. So if there's people that you want to tag in there, do so. But make sure that you've known those people. Just don't tag people that you don't know. That's where that gets a little creepy, right? So make sure that you've had a conversation with them, at least on the phone, email, and say, hey, if I find something relevant, do you mind if I tag you in any of my posts, articles? Do you mind if I reference you? If they say, yeah, go ahead. Or they say, hey, just let me know before, and I'll let you know whether it's okay or not. Just don't go rogue, because that'll really, really upset people. People do it to me all the time. I'm like, what are you doing? And I remove the tag, and then it's just embarrassing for everybody. Okay. So posts, active engagement, get your profile noticed. Okay. At least one a week. It's hard sometimes speaking to the IT crowds because they're like, I don't want to. Please do. Just gotta do it. Documents, content that you've created that an employer might find useful. Okay. So I've got some tips and tricks for this presentation, almost like a Cliff Note version of this presentation, and I post that document on there because here you go, here it is. If you've had something that isn't protected by other companies, or if you've got some content that you've done, if you've got anything that you've done in previous work histories that could be useful or somebody could find and it's not, again, protected, throw it up there. Let people see what you're doing. Again, it's all about making yourself look like the expert. Who is it that's looking at your stuff? They produce something and all of a sudden, here it is. Okay? So make sure you share those things. You want to be able to go in and really become the person where all these things are going on and people go in your profile and they're spending time now. Now they're just like, one-click wonder. You can go in there and now they're looking, oh man, they've got an article this. Oh gosh, their posts are engaging. And they find themselves, really engaged within what you're doing. That's what you want, because then they're learning about you and then they're like, hey, I need to talk to this person. And maybe they're not hired, right? That's the other thing, is you got to look at it like this way, is that you want to be the type of person where if I look at your profile, I'm going to reach out and contact you just for the future. Maybe there's something going on, or maybe I know something with another company. You know what? I found this really great person. I can't do anything with this person right now, but I know a company that could really use this person. And that happens all the time. Happens all the time. Just because they know, man, this is stellar. Oh, I heard X company's hiring somebody like this. I know the hiring manager over there. I'm gonna do that. Okay. Good. Okay. Good. All right. So it is 10. We're running a little bit over. Is everybody okay with that? Okay. Cool. We're gonna fly through some of these things. A lot of those other things were pretty big. Again, this is a presentation that I have given, and it's like super long. It could be a 2-day seminar. So we're gonna go over this fairly quickly, because this stuff I just went over. So articles on activity, practice interviewing why. That's one that I did. Again, it's more or less having it in there. This was from a while back. I didn't push it. It's when they were just coming out, and I was like, how do I do this? And so didn't push it too much. As much as I would now, all right? Also, on activity, you can see down here, so you can see who's going on for what they're involved. So when somebody clicks on your profile, they'll see how active you are. If you're not active at all, they'll be like, no, I don't want to, but you want to be somebody that has activity within your profile. And a recruiter, hey, they're active on X, or they comment on this. So it's a good resource to have. All right. So documents, this is the one I was just talking about. This is my private consulting company. It's CC Anchor Consulting. And this is what I was talking about, is my LinkedIn breakdown and what I do on here. So this is a document that I share to everybody. You can go to my profile and find it. And it's under documents. You can go in there and click in there. And it's just kind of, again, click note version of all this stuff. Gives you some tips and tricks of what you're looking for. All right, experience. This is your online CV or resume, right? So be detailed and direct. Length is a good thing. Add keywords that can be found within your searches. Find them in your about section. Use numbers, statistics to show how you help the company and stay away from generic statements. So this is your resume. Do not think that you have to limit yourself within LinkedIn like you do a resume. Put it all out there. The more, the better. Right? So realistically, a recruiter will sometimes look into that profile and actually look within the job and all those things. They're going to find, and they know that your keywords are there. They're going to look they're going to look at your job title and say, okay, maybe they look at a couple and they're going to scan through it real quick. Hey, this person's worth giving a call. But if you have just a few bullets in there, they're going to go to somebody that they know because they don't want to waste their time. They want to sit there and find, okay, they know a ton of things. They've got ample information. They're going to be in there and they're going to look through, hey, click, oh, there's a bunch of stuff. I don't have time to read all this stuff, but man, they've got a lot of it. That's the person we're calling. So make it full, fill it out. And then use number statistics, big time, right? So how much did you save them? Did you save a company? Were you in charge of any budgets? It's a little bit different programmers. Did you increase productivity, speed? What did you do? You had to do something. All businesses are based around money. I don't care if it's a nonprofit. I don't care if it's a public, private. It's all money. How are you saving a company money? How are you spending the money? How are you distributing the money? It's all about money. In any field, it's all about how much you're saving or spending. Yeah.
Question on data.
Sure.
So, some companies will frown on quoting numbers. I saved this many millions of warranty dollars, or, I helped this many customers with a particular problem.
Sure.
How do you balance specificity with credibility?
Sure. In talking about a lot of proprietary type stuff. So I mean, if it's proprietary, yeah, absolutely don't touch it, right? No sense putting yourself at risk. And a lot of times companies will know this if they're looking into a company and you work for X company, they're like, hey, they're locked down. They don't want to give us any information. They know that. Or say, hey, I'd love, just increased, and sometimes that's where percentages come in, increased by X, because percentages don't always that's why I like more percentages and dollars amounts on resume or cover letter. It just depends. And so that's where a percentage comes in a lot easier because you're not saying a direct number. And people, if it's a big company, say it's an Intel or Microsoft or whatever, they know, okay, we're talking about tons of money.
Sorry, quick question, I don't want to interrupt. There are a couple of people that parked across the street at Bentley's Construction, and they will tow.
Oh,
They're not very friendly. Okay, so.
And then we will, so if you want to take care of that, or it'll be, we're going to wrap up here real quick soon. So with that, if it's proprietary, sometimes use percentages, and you can get away that way. Okay? Yeah.
There's one other thing. If you signed a non-disclosure agreement before you left the company you were at, be very, very careful.
Yeah. So just to look at your contracts, look at your paperwork. If there's specific questions, feel anyone here, and I tell this all the time, if there's something like, I don't know if I should do this, contact me. We'll go over it. Yeah, we'll go over it individually. Keep your word tenses the same throughout your profile. Don't have it all over the place. There's a training error or not error, but there's a part of my profile I specifically didn't use some of these things. So if people pick it out, I was like, hey, can you find it? I was doing it to a bunch of high school kids, and I was just like, I'll just keep it in there and see if anybody ever notices. In there. So pretty straightforward with some of these things. All right. All right. So again, experience, throw it in there. Simple. And then you can click in and see what's in there. Just keep everything the same. If you use bullet points, use bullet points. Don't do a story and then bullet points, story, bullet points. I have in mine, I have a paragraph form of one just for training, so I can show I like the bullet point form, but you can do a paragraph if it's consistent throughout the profile. Say what it is. It depends on what your job is. Sometimes it's easier to write a little small paragraph about what it is that you did versus listing under, again, consistency. Make sure it all looks uniform. Okay. Yeah.
The career counselor I work with, she had me put the tenses in the present tense for my current job, and then everything else in the past tense.
100% accurate. Yep. That's exactly what I do.
Of course, then I had to go, since I'm not there anymore, I then changed that to the past too. But
yeah, no, that's exactly what I tell people. Yeah. All right, education. Keep it schools that you received a degree from or received a significant amount of credit from. out of boot camp schools or certificate programs that have name recognition. Okay? So not all schools are created the same, or treated the same, right? So we want to make sure that we've got credible schools, credible certificates, credible everything. Because a recruiter is going to look at that, or an employer is going to look at it and be like, that's not so hot. It doesn't really mean much, okay? Now, for this, I see people put in there 50 different, I went to X college, and this college, and that school, and this school. Really? How did you go to so many? What time did you really spend there to say that you went there? Taking a class or 2 classes from X school doesn't do anything. Now, if you spend, there's plenty of people out there, that went to school and didn't graduate from a school. But I spent years at this school. So what I tell people is if you are in a semester school, if you have at least a minimum of 1 to 2 years, go ahead and put it up there. That's significant, right? You've taken 8 to 12 to 15 classes. That's a significant amount of time in this institution. That's good. You can say that you actually went there. You felt part of it. You learned something from the school. A class or 2, unless it's a certificate program, but that's going to go in a different area. That's going to be certificates. It's not going to be education. It's going to be a little different area. All right? So then you're going to have, now any degrees, anything like that, put those in, right? But if you have significant school, or say, I went to a school that didn't offer an associate's degree in the field that I was studying, and so I still put it down because I would have, in any other school, I would have had an associate's. And then I have the school that I'm getting the bachelor's from, okay? So you want to make sure you have that stuff. All right, and then the boot camp schools, be cautious with some of those because some don't have a very great name within the communities, and it's no fault, it's the people that are putting it up there. But you want to be cautious. You want to just make sure that it looks good, that it makes you look good. You don't want anything that's going to hurt what you've done. You just want things that are going to help what you've done. All right, so education again, schools that you have had significant amount of time in. Some people say, only put the most recent school or something like that. So if you have a bachelor's, why would you put where you got your associates or something underneath it, or so on and so forth. It all depends on how much time, again, you put into that school. Is it a recognized school that's good, that somebody like, man, they spent a lot of time there? That's cool, because people look up, and then you've got alumni searches. People say, I'd love to have somebody that works at X school. Awesome. So I'm going to go pull from that. Or when recruiters search, they'll say, hey, they're connected with so many people from X school or X program. So that, again, is all the way to get noticed. But if that's where if you didn't go there long enough, they're like, how long did you go there? Actually, it only took, a quarter. I was only there it took 2 or 3 classes. They're like, you didn't really go there. And then why didn't you continue? What happened? So you don't want anything that's going to throw up any red flags.
Question, year or no year?
In this, so that's going to be that's the debate of the world right now.
Yeah, because ageism and
Yeah, and I will tell you, it comes up every single week that I do presentations. You can put the years, because bottom line is they're going to find out anyways. Bottom line, and that's just the kind of unspoken truth. It's, if somebody wants to find out how old you are, guess what? They're going to find out. It's just a matter, it sucks. There's no other way to say it. It sucks. It's not fair, and I hope one day there's a solution to it, and people take accountability for the mistreatment that they do, and when it comes to ageism. It's absolutely relevant, and it happens, and it sucks. Bottom line, but they're going to find out. If you try to hide it, I really strongly advise not against trying to hide anything, because then if that does come out, it's like, they're trying to hide this. What else are they trying to hide?
So it's the impression if you don't put on there, because school, usually you have a graduation date,
Sure.
So if you don't put on there, is then the first impressions that you're hiding it when you don't put on there?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yep. What are you hiding? If you're hiding this, what else are you hiding? That's just kind of what happens.
The counselor I work with, because mine was so far in the past, she suggested not putting the time frame on it because of the ages and things. So
Yeah, and different
opinion.
So here's the catch, and here's where I see it, but now, computer science, if it's something that you, so on a resume, you don't have to put the year, just that you have your bachelor's or you have the X certificate, right? LinkedIn, I think, makes you put it in there, and I haven't messed with it. The thing is if they can't tell by your degree or certificate, what else can they tell? Just real quick.
Your job history.
Job history. If you've only done the last 10 years, but you're senior level, they know you had work before that. So, I mean, again, if they want to find out, they're going to find out. It's just the way it is, unfortunately. All right, so volunteer experience, add everything that you have volunteered to. Employees like to see that you're active outside of work. So make sure if you are unemployed, be active. Don't be sitting around not doing anything. Get involved in some kind of group, some kind of something, or do something that's putting yourself out in the community, or even if it's pro bono or anything that you can get your hands on to say, hey, I'm actively doing these things because you want to stay current. Recruiters and hiring managers understand that people go through times when they are not working, but what they can't understand is why you're just doing nothing for 6 months. They look back and say, well, what did you do for 6 months? Well, I just job searched. Okay, well, tell me about that. How much time did that spend per day? Well, I spent throughout. Like, do something, right? You need to make sure that you're doing something. So, and adding that is absolutely relevant. This includes being an active participant in many civic groups. If you have a title with that group, list that as well. Here's the other thing with volunteer type stuff or active jobs. If you are a board member or as extremely active, and people tell you different things. So again, this is take it with I coach this. But if you have a active job, say I lost my job, my current job, I would absolutely put down that running this group is my full-time job, because it is. I put in double the work, the same amount of work in this group that I've done for many jobs. I'm the lead organizer, right? Essentially the founder of a group with over 1,000 members and multiple groups and things going on. So this is a job. I don't get paid for it, but I have a job title and it's a job. So if I ever lost my full-time job, I would absolutely throw this up there and have it both. I'm doing this as a job, and these are the responsibilities and duties. And I've got 5 volunteers that help me out, so I'm in charge of the staff. So are you within a group that also has those responsibilities that you can justify? Hey, I can say that I spent 20 to 30 hours a week on X job. Maybe it's only 10, but it's still something. Maybe it's a part-time job, but it's showing that you're doing something actively all the time, right? And somebody could justify it. If I called up somebody and said, hey, I need you to say, help me out, and say yes, Max does X amount of time for GetHired Technology. Okay. That absolutely works. If the volunteer experience just lasts a few days, put down a month. Example would be Habitat for Humanity, or volunteer cleanup weekend, or other weekend events. So just because the event only happens for a weekend, that's still volunteer experience. That's getting out there. LinkedIn and some of these other places, you just put it down for the month. You can't do days, right? So there's the other things where maybe the event happens in one time frame, like one little section, but the entire event is overall is takes time to put together, and maybe you're on the back end, but the event itself was counted for 1 night, 1 day, 2 days, whatever it is. So make sure you put all those things down. Data back to as far as if you were a Little League coach, if you were you helped with a science fair, if you helped with a school, if you helped with, it doesn't matter, church groups, so anything, put that stuff down there. Put down that you volunteered. Fill it up. People like to see that stuff.
Oh, even church stuff, huh?
Yep, you can put church stuff down. And we're going to get into some of that stuff in a minute. Okay, go ahead. All right, so volunteer expense. Again, we just went over all this stuff. I'm not going to go in deep, but make sure you have everything listed down, especially if you have big titles, right? So lead organizer, founder, I was an application chair for a BNI group. I was an ambassador for a Chamber of Commerce, and so I want to make sure that people know that I was not only an active member and volunteer, but I actually had a title within that organization to show that, hey, I was a leadership position within a leadership organization. So, go ahead. Okay. So skills and endorsements, they're getting better. I can't wait until I don't have to put caution flags around skills and endorsements. Bottom line is skills and endorsements, as of right now, don't really matter. Anybody can put or that they know what they're doing, but bottom line is most of them, it's just real quick. Okay. They're not looked at by most recruiters and hiring managers. Anyone can endorse you even though they have no clue if you can do that skill or not. Because of LinkedIn's algorithms, that is still a good idea to have at least 10 listed on a profile. So you still want about 10 of them. Right now, LinkedIn's bumped it up where on some things, especially when in programming, where you actually have to take a test, and it shows that you're actually qualified to have that down as a skill within the profile. But it doesn't do it for everything. So anybody can go in. I can go in and like any one of your things, and even though I don't know any of you other than today and some a little bit more, but I haven't seen your work experience, so I can go in and still push. Hey, yeah, they know how to do these things. Or you could do it as mine, even though all you have done is heard me speak today, right? You don't know if I'm a good recruiter, if I'm a good business developer, if I'm, you don't know any of those things. But you could go in there and say that I was, right? So be very cautious with this. Have it in there. Don't spend a lot of time in it. Go ahead. Okay. So again, it's in there. Take the skill quiz. Now LinkedIn added it, so you are now able to kind of look through it and go through. Okay. All right. Recommendations. They could be the most powerful thing in your entire toolbox besides those keywords. Okay. So how many people think that there is an honest way for employers to go get a recommendation, or if they do an employment check or a reference, how many companies out there actually spilling the beans about who you are? No one. Not a one should be. Most companies now will be like, are they, how long did they work there? Are they rehireable? It's about all they can ask because of slander. Companies are terrified of being hit with a lawsuit because somebody didn't get a job because somehow, because people talk, somehow X company said X thing about X employee, and they're like, that's not true. Why are you saying that? You can't do that. So they basically say, are they rehireable? And what are the dates of employment? Those are about the two. So most companies don't even do these anymore. So if you have recommendations, then how many people here are going to put their face and their name on somebody if they truly don't know what that person does? Is anyone here just going to kind of blindly say, I don't know what this person's doing, but yeah, I'm going to write your recommendation and put it on the internet? Is anyone going to do that? No. Face to a name to a product. You being the product, right? Their face, their name, what they're going to write about you, that shows an employer, a hiring manager, anyone out there that, man, they got believed in. They wouldn't be saying this just because. They're saying it because these people truly believe in it. So this way you want to have as many recommendations. Go ahead and ask for them. Go ask for recommendations, yeah.
How many?
As many as you can get. I would never put a limit. If you're going to get 100, it's 100 people that said, you know what you're doing.
Okay.
You are what you are. You are what they say you are. So you want to make sure that's there. And ask. People say, well, how do I do that? Well, if you worked with somebody and you know them well enough, you're not going to ask just anyone for a recommendation, right? You're going to ask somebody that you probably know will give you a good one and actually do it. So is it really that awkward to say, hey, I'm building my profile. Hey, I'm looking for work. Hey. And a lot of times, what do they say? Oh, go ahead and write it and I'll take a look and sign it. Sure, everybody's heard that at least once or twice. It happens, right? So just ask. Any employers, anybody that you know that you've worked with, even if it's a volunteer organization or anybody that you can give you any positive face to a name to a product holds dividends. A lot of companies will look at that and say, I don't even need to do a reference. It's happened multiple times. Don't need a reference. It's showing me because these people wouldn't lie about it. It's out there. The more you have, the more reliable it is, right? Law of large numbers. Okay, go ahead. Again, I very rarely give them because I'm very, very cautious. I've been burned before. Exactly what I was saying, right? So people just don't give them to anyone. I have in the past, a long time ago, and it burned me, not with any of these ones, but just in general recommendations. I'm like, well, that didn't work. Just because I was trying to be nice.
What happened, if you mind sharing?
The people, basically, I recommended a couple, because I have got a few contacts out there. I know a few recruiters in the area. So I had somebody that, this just the most recent one a couple years ago, last summer, the year before, told this recruiter this guy was really looking for work, was in sales, and was like loving everything that He was, hey, I've been put in this position, but I know these technologies and I know these things. And I didn't have anything for him, so I was like, hey, go check out, XSpot. Made the connection, as I do with lots of people all the time. I'll sit there and say, hey, I'll connect with them on LinkedIn. Say, hey, I don't have anything for this person. I think they're great. I stand behind what they're doing. I understand, this and that. I saw that you have this. Can you please take a look? Person got hired, then they quit like 2 weeks later, and in a bad way.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like yelling and screaming, and it made me look not so hot. So I was like, all right, I'm done. Unless I'm, and yeah. So that, again, that's why people, if you get a recommendation, it's because they truly believe in it, 90% of the time. Okay, go ahead. All right, interest, and we're gonna fly through this because of time. Be very cautious in the section and stay neutral. All right, so this is where people can get themselves in tons of trouble. When it comes to politics and religion, stay neutral. Stay very, very, very neutral. Especially in today's day and age. I don't care what side you sit on. I don't care where you're at. I don't care. Stay neutral, because employers will look at that. And if you're heavy on one side, maybe they're sitting on the other. Or maybe they're like, you know what? We just don't want to be involved with somebody that does these things or maybe part of these groups. Even though maybe you don't act them, but it shows that you are. Be very, very cautious. Be very neutral. Don't do anything that's going to prevent a company from hiring you or looking at you because of what you're on. Add a minimum of 5 for each of these sections you'll see in there. Make sure you have 5 interests, 5 interests, everything else. And then you can add a professional interest in here as well. So whoever you're following, this and that, but make sure you just have 5. 5's kind of LinkedIn's algorithm. So right here, your interests, basically showing who you're following, this and that. Again, with this, also be careful on who you follow and keep it up to date. So if there's somebody that you're interested in, you're following their content, but they're going down a rabbit hole and they just got exposed for something that shouldn't be exposed to in the public's eye, you should probably take them off, because then people don't want to think, hey, yeah, I support this person that's doing these bad things. So again, just be cautious. This is all one of those like common sense. Let's take a look at it deeply. Following, so you've got influencers, companies, groups, and schools. This one I'm talking about, you want to have 5 in here, 5. Go ahead. All right. So contact information for myself. mchristman at skillstorm.com. LinkedIn, I'm going to tell you, is 99% the best way to contact me. And I'll leave with this: contacts when you're looking at your connections. And I've talked about add, 500 to 700. You want a good portion of those to be technical recruiters if you're in a tech position. You want hiring managers. You want people of senior level that can make hiring decisions within certain companies that you're looking for. I always tell people, and then I can do some individual stuff with you guys later if you really like, hey, I want to get on this, but I don't know exactly what to do. Please let me know. And myself, Jessica's, she's been through my training multiple times now. She can answer a ton of questions. She is also a recruiter, so she's also looking for jobs and knows of jobs. So I would suggest, if you haven't connected with me, connect with Jessica, and thank you so much for spending your morning with us. Awesome. Thanks.